Hello, family. Okay, what I want to do right now is I want to share the PowerPoint presentation, Emancipation, to you without the commentary. I think it'll be quicker, and I've updated it to add information, and I cited or I showed you the book where I found that information. So you can, and hopefully it'll make sense without my having to do any commenting. I'm gonna pause it as I go so you can see, so you'll be able to read. But I want to show you this without the commentary. And it starts with emancipation. Let me go to full screen. There we are. This is just telling you when Taliaferro County was formed, 1825, and from the 5 counties it was formed from. And this is a picture of Main Street, what it looked like in 1827. We actually have a traffic light now, and it's paved road. Alexander H. Stephens was sick all his life, and these are the slaves who cared for him until he died. All the children didn't stay. I can't find any updated information on Jack. I don't know if he was able to gain his freedom later, but that money was returned to him because it was illegal for John Bird to buy his freedom and be his guardian. I think this is self-explanatory. You walked. I was afraid that would happen. Here I added the edited part. I added where you can find this information. It can be found at the Baptist Education Institution about Derry Murden being the founder of Murden High School and the president of the Baptist Convention. His brother is not in this picture. This is a picture I got off the website. I thought it was kind of cute though. Freedman Bank was started for Black ex-slaves so they'd have a place to store their money. It ended horrible in 1874 with fraud and mismanagement of funds and enormous stealing from Blacks. It's the history of Morehouse College. The author is Benjamin Griffin Brawley. I purchased that book. That's it right here, what it looks like. And these are the people who attended. Linton Ingram has his name from Crawfordville, but he's actually from Hancock. He came to Taliaferro County to for a better life. He ran away from his abusive, he wasn't a slave owner. He was a guy he was working for. He ran away to Crawfordville to Alexander H. Stephens, who helped him to get an education. He started an institution, which is the building I think is still standing. This is Mr. Linton Stephen Ingram. And you can find his information in a book called The History of the American Negro and His Institution. Right now, I can't remember the name of the institution. Let's see if I no, I did. I know it has something to do with agriculture. But if you would contact Hancock, Sister Hudson, she posted something on Facebook with a picture of that institution. And this is Reverend Derry Murden, the grandson. He's also in the History of the American Negro in his institution, Volume 2. These pictures look terrible. I got them from a screenshot because it was too difficult to print them off the book. Reverend Henry is my second great uncle. This is just information about the Freedman Bank and how these records are so important to us, because as you see, they list a lot of information. Here, Spencer Turner, who is my third grandfather, so he's my great grandfather. He lists on here August 19th, 1872 is when he opened his account in Taliaferro County. It's pronounced Taliaferro, but it's spelled Taliaferro. He lives on Widow Atkinson Place. We were the slaves of Umstead Atkinson and his wife Sally. Umstead actually died in like 1831 or 32. The original will he had left was he left a lot to his son. The problem is his son passed away before him as a child, and he never updated he didn't have a chance to update his will. So his wife Sally had to create a deed and separate all those property and slaves and everything and animals. She also had two older daughters who also married. Her daughter Elizabeth married John Battle, I want to say, and her daughter Catherine married a Roger Dickinson. One of her daughters gonna die. It's gonna die pretty young too. But they divided the slaves between them. They own like 1,500 acres here, and my family was part of their slaves. So he says on here too that he's a farmer and that he's renting his land. His wife Mary lives with him, Spencer. His children are Henry and Martha, they're twins. Then there's Sarah, John, Jacob, Melinda, and baby Spencer. That's my great grandfather. Jack is deceased, and so is Scylla. She's deceased. Then the siblings are Henry, Melinda, James Jenkins, and he really did change his last name to Jenkins. Spencer changed his last name to Turner. Then there's Harriet and Jerry. Sarah is deceased, Margaret deceased, and Emily is deceased. The brother Henry kept the last name Atkinson from the plantation. So he says, mother brought from Virginia with 3 children, and this is his mark because he can't read or write. And he says the post office is Crawfordville, Georgia. So for family history research, Freedman Bank records are they're just awesome. They are, I want to say, they give us so much information. Some of them list the complexion. I think his may say, oh, your complexion black. He's not a mulatto. His complexion is black. His age is 46. So that kind of information is so valuable to us as researchers. All right, enough on that. Silas Green, I love Silas Green. Silas Green is from Louisiana. And did I cite here? Oh yeah, the famous Silas Green show appears under tent of the campus of Murden High School on May the 20th, 1954. This information came from the Taliaferro County history. As far as I remember, they compiled that history from the newspaper articles. So in 1954, there was a newspaper article, and that article was transferred to the Taliaferro County history. Murden High School is a black high school that everybody knowledge is just local knowledge. And so this Silas Green ministerial show appeared there, and the tickets were 35 cents for adult, 25 cents for children. I thought that was awesome. So he was from Louisiana, so as my research has showed, and he traveled around the world giving these shows. I think he must have stayed under that tent because in those days, what hotels wouldn't accept blacks unless him and his group stayed at somebody's home. But more than likely, since it was a tent show, they probably lived under the tent too. This is the Atkinson family who started the beach in Allatoona, Lake Allatoona. If you ever go to George Washington Carver Park, you can be able to see it. Bessie Atkinson has a tree planted in her honor. I think she died in 2017. Wonderful, wonderful person. She's my cousin, of course, but she was still a wonderful person. The beach is very popular. It was a place that the African American, Black people could go and after graduation and just have a good time, a beach they could call their own. And the story goes that John Lord and his family would haul the sand in the back of the truck, and then they would take it there until they finally got the beach to where they wanted it to look. And every year they have a Memories Day. Please go and learn more about it. Visit Carter State Park. And the gentleman, Duggan, came to Taliaferro County to look at the school system. He found a fair there, and he said that was very well attended. There was also 19 Negro school, all running 5 months. This was back in 1915. So we were doing our part to try and educate our people. The interesting thing that for me in the book was this statement here, because this gentleman, Professor Stone, married one of the Evans daughters, and which is right down the street. He's also, you will see his signature all through Springfield Baptist Church. He did a lot of the writing, he and Atkinson. So he was quite popular in our area. So that was fascinating to me to know that he was also the principal and that he was organized and he had meetings with his teachers. He didn't just leave them on their own to figure it out. This is also one of those wonderful people in Witness Church down below me and from my community, who's also a family member that was influential in education. She always wanted us to go to college. She wanted us to get an education, and tried to encourage us to do that. She was always imparting knowledge. I remember coming up as a teenager that she was around when I grew up, and she was never married and had never had any family, of any children of her own. She had lots and lots of family. So the information, I got it from AXA archivists at the Georgia Archive. They are really good. You write them and they can get that information for you. Right now, of course, with COVID, they are not open, but hopefully when they do open, you can go there and find things yourself. They're very strict, so you need to call first, find what the rules and regulations are for attending. These are the schools that Mr. Duggan saw when he came here. This white man standing in the building is probably E.T. Portwood, who was the superintendent of schools. There he is again. He's in everything except for this one, because we know it was founded by Murden. This school was originally started on Friendship Church ground. Just about all of these schools were located next to the church. The building on the Friendship ground burned, and then they acquired this property and built this nice brick building. This brick building still stands today, but it's not in use. It was declared with asbestos, and so we no longer use it. This is Sharon and Winburn. And these are the other schools. Oak Grove was the only one that was a Rosenwald school. It no longer exists. I think my aunt told me that it's actually what the church is using now. So they transformed it into a church. This is a relative. We found this picture in Donna's Turner collection. She has from her grandfather. And the only problem was none of the pictures were labeled. So we don't know which relative it is. So it could have been one of the husband of one of the girls, or it could have been John Wesley Evans himself, who represents this picture, but we don't know. I was just excited to know that Blacks were in World War I and that my family was there too. We have to find a way to honor them because we don't have any monument to their honor. Maybe that's something we can do if we save the Springfield School. These are the ones from this county that didn't make it back alive. Fred Griffin, Ernest, Thomas, and Pleasure. This is Dr. Harris. He and this group was instrumental in registering Blacks to vote. And the other school, which was not pictured before, but was also operating in 1915 when Duggan came, was the Springfield Log Cabin School, this one right here. The Springfield Log Cabin School is in Springfield community where Mildred Turner was born and raised. And I do believe that's her right here, standing behind E.T. Portwood. She would have been a Gene supervisor, so she would have worked with him for the state. This school building was used as Crawfordville Enterprise. It was used as headquarters for Scope. Scope is a summer registration program where the students came from schools in the West, all over, wherever they wanted to, kind of like Freedom Riders. They came to help us register our people to vote. And so after the Evan Harris and the other teachers were fired or the contract wasn't renewed, they began to boycott and to march, and they opened this building as a freedom school, and they enlisted the help of the SCLC to help them to buy the supplies they needed for the students. Wish they had cut the grass in this picture. This is when Dr. King visited. He visited Friendship Baptist Church, which is downtown. It's a Black church downtown Crawfordville. The pastor right now is Pastor Roger Dexter Smith, and they tried to do things to remember the struggle we had back then. Juneteenth is normally celebrated there. And I think last week they were giving away boxes of food to the homeless. So they tried to do things to motivate and encourage and to support the Black neighborhoods, communities. That's Conjo. Conjo was in the NAACP. This is a picture of Brig Cabe. He was a photographer for the SCLC. And while he was here, this Klansman who you can't see in this newspaper article, this is the Nashville, Tennessee. It says Wednesday, December the 13th, 1965, if you can find that article. This is when a freed Ku Klux Klaner came to Taliaferro County and he attacked the SCLC photographer. Is what he's doing in this picture. But of interest here is what happened during Turner versus Goolsby. A lot of the cases that was done in during this time frame with Turner versus Goolsby, Turner versus Fouché or Fouch, those cases were landmark cases that help us to do the things we're doing now, whether it was registering to vote, being this case was so we could ride the bus to go to school, because of course the white people closed down their school, so we could not participate. We couldn't integrate it. And they were using the bus to take them to the surrounding schools. But we couldn't use the same bus to do that. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even let us into their surrounding schools. And so this case made it possible so that we could catch the bus to go to those other schools. And then those schools had to let us in. They couldn't just block us out, so we didn't have an education. Although we were going to the Freedom School, the goal was to integrate. This is when Ebony Magazine came and took the pictures of the Crawfordville Enterprise with Randolph D. Blackwell. I wrote to them, and Vivian sent me these clips. Here's a head start. This is a sewing factory. When after they moved, they outgrew the log cabin school, and they moved to a building down the street. And so this is, I know the second lady is a Barkus. This is my Aunt Olivia right here. These kids, this is little Billingsley and Deborah, and that's Shirley Bowman. Cute little pictures. Some more pictures. This is actually downtown at the park, that building of the park, and that head is Florence Turner. This looks like Cassandra and Glenda. This is Carolyn Grant and Gloria and Sherry. This look like Rev, and Troy. What is that, David? Troy, and I done got these two boys mixed up there, Stewart. I know this one right here, though. That's Troy Evans. This is my mother, Lorraine Bowman Howard. And I'm not sure who this is. This could be Julie Van Allen, who works for, Cornell University is where I think she's teaching.
Number 23, Turner against Boucher. And number 30 will follow that immediately.
The link to this audio is on the last page. Of course, you know, this is Thurgood Marshall. He's one of the justices. And this is Sandra Turner, the daughter of Calvin Turner.
Chief Justice, and please the court. This case is here on appeal from a final judgment of the statutory three-judge court convened in the Southern District of Georgia. Brought in 1967 by Negro appellants as a class action, challenged violations of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments by Georgia statutes and state constitutional provisions, which set up an interlocking system of jury and...
This is Reverend Angela Harrington Rice. Okay, you did not do that right. So that was Angela Harrington Rice, and I'm sorry it flipped over too, but my computer has a mind of its own. And that was, so you have to go back and look at that one because I don't forget how to do that. Hold on. Let's see if it'll do it for me, so I can take it back. There they are. So Reverend Angela Harrington Rice, who won an Emmy for her Road to Tuskegee, not Tuskegee, Turkey. She did a documentary on Turkey. And this is Superintendent Barbara Thompson. She attended Spelman, and I think Angela attended Clark. These are influential women from Taliaferro County who are still working today to make the world better. Angie works with teenagers and people in her church, and she worked with a writing guild. She wrote her first book a couple of years ago, Resurrecting the Lives of Liberated Women. So keep your eyes on for these two. They are busy. Now to the last page. Thank you, kitty cat. As I mentioned, the links are here. If you want to know about the log cabin school we're trying to save, that link is here. And please contribute, give advice, whatever you can do to help us to keep the legacy alive. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.